everybody, and welcome to episode 21 of the Mingled Yarncast. I'm your host, Stephen, also known as KnitFen on Instagram and Ravelry, and I almost didn't film this episode today. I've not been feeling well the last couple of days, and there were a few days when I just didn't do any knitting at all. So I am actually not completely done with clue number 2 for the Mystery Knit Along, the Westknits Mystery Knit Along. But I'm finished enough that I think I can present it to you. And anyway, I also realized that I needed to do a quick video, if nothing else, just to talk about Rhinebeck this weekend, because Rhinebeck is this weekend. The New York Sheep and Wool Festival will be happening, and I will be there both days, Saturday and Sunday. And I wanted to come on here, if nothing else, to let you know that I will be at the Podcaster Hill at noon on Saturday. So if you would like to come see me, I'll be hanging out with Irina from Fiber Chats. So if you'd like to come see us at noon on Saturday, please stop by. I should throw out a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a caveat. A plea, an invitation. I beg you, please come say hello if you see me walking around the festival. Do not be shy. I myself get really shy as well, so I understand, especially when you see people that you only know from social media, from Instagram or from YouTube or whatever. It's like, I see you, I know you, but I don't know you, and I don't feel comfortable going up to you. I feel that too. And I probably will, even though I'm telling you not to be shy, I probably will still be shy myself when I see some people. But you have my full permission to come up at any point in the festival and say hello. There's no moment that's a bad moment. I would love to meet you. And the other thing that I will say, though, is that I am very bad with names, and even if we've met before, I might not always remember, so please introduce yourself. Also, a lot of people that I see when I recognize them, I know them by their social media handle and not by their actual names, and so that's a bit awkward too. But the beauty and the fun of events like this is to get to know people in the real world, so yeah, start with your name, as will I. So, Rhinebeck, yes. I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of friends I haven't seen in a while. And in terms of things that I'm looking for in terms of yarn and stuff like that, I've really got one project in mind for sure, and one kind of half forming in my head. But the one that's in my head for sure is based on a color palette that comes from this pair of shoes that I bought a couple of months ago and have been wearing. Ta-da! These New Balance shoes. Now I know you're probably thinking it's just pretty bland neutral color, Stephen. Oh, but it's got this great chartreuse accent to it. I've been wearing these for months, so they're a little sullied, but sorry for flashing my dirty shoe at you. But yeah, I want something with this brownish green, this olive, it's darker than olive, I think, but this dark green, very, very, I want to say this is also a dark green. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of my Geo Gradient shawl. And the color in there that looks almost black is actually a very, very dark green. So this looks black, but it could be a dark green. But anyway, a green so dark it's almost black, a generally dark green, and then a creamy grayish color with this as an accent. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to be searching for colors more so than specific fibers this time around. But that's what I want. And I had an idea in my head to do a yoke kind of thing with these colors, but the more I think about it, the more maybe just like a striped sweater would be nice. Something simple that's not going to take me forever or involve too much fussing and fiddling and planning. Although I have been doing a lot of that. I was planning to tell you more about the fiddling that I've been doing using Stitch Fiddle, to come up with designs. But as it happens, I think I started to say that I've not been feeling well, and so I wasn't going to film anything. The reason I'm doing this today, right now, I've gotten to school early so that I could film before school, so that I could edit during my lunch break, because today is Thursday, which means that Clue 3 of the Westknits Mystery Knit Along has already been released, but I'm not looking at it until after I film, because I want to be able to talk about Clue 2 before knowing what Clue 3 holds. So, yes. And with that said, I had other things I had hoped to share with you in a slightly longer episode, but time constraints are real this time, so I'm going to jump right into it. So, clue 2, here we go. Here it is. I'm wearing it more or less, and I figured this was the best way after last time to figure out how to present it. So, recall, for clue 1, we had our semicircles. There we go. Looking like hills, looking like waves, connected with sections of garter. Let me bring this closer here. There we go. Followed by a strip of bubbles. And the bubbles aren't bubbling too much right now, but they will. They will. Then, for those who are not doing the mystery knit along but are curious, that section 2 brought in brioche and it brought in the mohair dare option. And I said in the last time I didn't think I was going to do the mohair dare. I lied. I did it. I found some things that I had in my stash, and I just went for it. Because once I saw it, I thought, actually that's going to look really nice. Now, I'm actually a little ambivalent about it at this point. So before I discuss my feelings about it, clue 2 involved these sort of, I think of them as railroad tracks, these brioche railroad tracks. I think it's just labeled as brioche in the pattern. Another layer of bubbles. Another layer of brioche railroad tracks, and then there's going to be another layer of bubbles. That's the end of clue 2, which I will be starting on today. I probably won't have it finished today either. But anyway, so that's the clue. There's just a little more that's not there, but you can picture this level of layer of bubbles on top of here, and there you have it. That's that's what it's going to look like, which is why I feel like I'm able to talk about it today. So let's talk about this, the mohair dare, and why I'm a little ambivalent about it. I used 2 strands, which is what Stephen West did in his video. He showed that, he suggested using one or matching it with your combination, your contrasting color. Or what he did in the video was he used 2 separate strands of mohair. And I thought, you know what, let's do that. Because I've got a couple that I'm playing around with, and let me figure out what works best. So, excuse me, let me adjust myself here. There we go. You can probably see in this, the colors aren't great on the screen at the moment. I'm not sure if that's my computer, if that's just how it is. No, they look a little better now. The brightness was down. Anyway, you can see the 2 different colors because in the lower level, I used a light green and a gray together. And then in the upper level, I used the same gray and a richer, darker green. So they're contrasting greens. And in my mind, what I thought was going to happen was that these would kind of match the lighter green here, and these would match some of the darker greens that are here in the contrasting color. And they do, but I don't know. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm excited to see how the rest of the shawl will play out. And because right now this clue is kind of dominating the visual of the whole thing a little bit. Is that showing? There we go. But as it grows and as that becomes more minimal, maybe it won't annoy me so much. But what happened is I didn't love the way that the gray and the green here, they're looking a little brown, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to look a little greener. But, oh well. As I was working on it, though, I had some thoughts. Last time I talked about how the whole thing was making me feel very watery, very aqueous. Is that the right word? I gotta look that up to see if I use that correctly. But watery works. And so as I got into this level, once the brioche really started to form. Oh, and by the way, I'm so glad that I did those brioche shorts when I did them, because that was the first time I'd ever done brioche, and so that taught me how to do it. And so when this came up, I didn't have to struggle to figure out how to do it. So I'm glad I had that skill set already there. But anyhow, as I was working this in the first row, see between the dark blue, well, not dark, the blue, and the greeny gray brioche bits, it looks like feathers, I started to think, doesn't it? Or it looks like the top of like a shaft of wheat, the seedy part of wheat. And I really enjoyed that about it. I really like that. Also, I love the way it feels. There's like this, I don't know, the whole thing feels nice, but when you get to the mohair, it's like, it's it feels like love. Um, Anyhow, the the feathers and the way everything on this kind of drapes, it made me think of, like, here we go, wings. Well, that's a nice kind of view, isn't it? That's a way to see it all. Yeah, it made me think of wings, and wings and water together. That like triggered in my memory and in my mind a line from Psalm 139, which is my favorite. The line is, "If I take the wings of the morning and sail to the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand guide me, and thy right hand shall hold me." And so when I was thinking about this, and I said last time it kind of become a prayer shawl of sorts. Well, we're continuing with that theme a bit. These are the wings of the morning. And it also got me thinking, I was thinking a lot about, just the process of making this alongside all of these other people all around the world. I'm looking at everybody's pieces as they're developing. We're all sharing their colors and the process and the thoughts about it, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know, I started thinking about how special that is, the fact that there are thousands of people in the world and we're all doing this thing together. You've got, Stephen West and his testers who created it first, but then there's we, the next group of people who are creating it. But then in the future, it's going to continue to be made. Perhaps, who knows, perhaps long after all of us right now are gone, 100 years from now, and there may still be people making this. I hope there will be. And that got me thinking about Whitman, and as I often do during the course of my days, think about Whitman and his Leaves of Grass, and also the grass, the wheat. That was making me think Whitman too. There's a lot of nature happening in this shawl, even though it's called Go-Go Dynamo, which should be making me think about like machinery. It's not. It's making me think about nature. But anyway, and time. So it got me thinking specifically about his Crossing Brooklyn Ferry, and that's one of the poems. I don't have the poem in front of me right now, and because I'm pressed for time, I'm not going to look it up, but maybe I will in a future episode. But it's the one, it has like 9 sections, maybe it's 11 sections, and in one of them, he says, "It avails not, time avails not, distance avails not, wherever you are, I am with you," and you may be 100 years from now walking the streets of Manhattan. Well, I'm walking the streets of Manhattan today in my own time, and therefore I know you, and you know me, and we are connected. And I'm very much paraphrasing right now. I'll get you the real thing sometime. But, yeah, that's how I am connecting all of this to this shawl. The fact that so many of us are enjoying this right now, it's absorbing our lives at the moment. It's a gift to be able to work on it. It's a gift to be able to share it with you. And it's a gift that's going to be made and remade throughout time in so many different ways. All of them different, yet all of them the same. That's very Whitman, too. Now, predictions. Where do I see this going? Like I said, I have not looked at anything online. I'm making this video now so that I can go look and see what my predictions, if they are correct. Last week I said I thought it would kind of go off in these directions. It did not. It just kept growing like a trapezoid. Let's see if I can showcase it well enough here. I mean, it's really growing in a very traditional shape so far. It's hard to know what might happen now because there are 400, right at the end of the clue, I think there should be 405 stitches on here. So I don't know. Now I'm thinking I guess it'll just keep growing trapezoid-like, but that doesn't seem very Stephen West, so I don't know. It could also, I keep thinking too that the bottom section here might grow. I thought it might before, but then again, with that center semicircle, such as it is, it makes it a nice center part to, begin to drape things. So maybe that's going to stay that way. I don't know. I don't know, people. I just don't know. And as you're watching this, presumably, some of you already know what happens next because you will have already seen it. So you know more than I do at this moment in time. Well, I guess we'll see what happens next, won't we? And that's all I have to say about this for right now. I will tell you one other thing, though. I mentioned this in the previous episode. I told you that I wanted to do a an episode on the shorts that I made, and that's still coming. Um, but since I wasn't feeling well, I didn't get around to it this weekend. I did, however, also tell you that I wanted to share a song with you from my upcoming concert, and that I will do because I think it's kind of funny and quite a coincidence that this song should be part of the show that I'm in. So Master Voice is my choir. We are performing Gershwin's Strike Up the Band on October 29th at Carnegie Hall, 7 p.m. I believe it's 7 p.m., could be 8. Show up at 7 and you won't be late. Anyway, I'll put a link for the tickets below. And in this story, it's a kind of a quirky satire parody about the ridiculousness of war. And in the story, the United States is prodded into war against that most villainous of countries, Switzerland. Why? Because the American cheese industry is threatened by the Swiss cheese industry, and you probably know who's going to win that one, right? So, anyhow, through the course of these zany antics, there's a song once in Act Two starts and the American soldiers end up in Switzerland. Spoiler alert, the war never actually happens. They get to Switzerland and life is so nice and peaceful there that really they're just kind of hanging out, the soldiers, while the higher brass works things out. So it was a propaganda war, really, is what it comes down to. And they're there and they're enjoying life. And so they have this song. They open up. It's called "Oh, Such a Lovely War," and you have all of these guys on stage sitting in their rocking chairs, and the lyric that they sing is I'm probably going to screw it up right now since I'm putting myself on the spot, but the line is, "Sitting, sitting, busy with our knitting, as the world goes flitting by. Comfy, cozy, life is never prosy, underneath a rosy sky." And then the next part is something like, "Oh, what could be better than knitting a sweater, da 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 da." I forget the rest of the lyrics, but anyway, sad to say, Master Voices did not hire me as a knitting consultant for this piece. Maybe they couldn't afford my rates. They're terribly high. Kidding, I don't have any rates. I would have done it for free, but we aren't going to actually be knitting on stage. So again, an opportunity missed, I feel. But nonetheless, I'm very excited to get to perform that, to sing that song. So if you are in the New York City area, you should definitely come and see it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a show that doesn't get put on too much. And there's two versions of it. There's the 1927 version and the 1930 version. And interesting, fascinating history here because both versions are kind of incomplete and lost to us today. And Ted, our director, has been working with the Gershwin estate to reassemble them into a version that might now be able to exist as an official version that other people could put on. So that's really exciting to be a part of that. And the group has put out its very first podcast that goes into the history of the piece. And I haven't listened to it yet myself, but I'm definitely planning to. I'm fortunate enough to get to hear Ted talk about the history of it to the choir ourselves as we are rehearsing. But this is something that's put out onto Spotify and Apple and wherever you get your podcasts. And you can hear it too. And I think there's going to be 3 episodes on this particular piece, but then moving forward, they're going to be doing podcast episodes on all the things that we're working on. So that should be really, really cool. Check that out, and I will too. And maybe next episode, we'll talk a little more about that podcast. Okay, everybody, I think that's it for today. School's about to start. I need to shut this down and go get ready. So thank you for watching. Next time.